Hi, Jen. In the wake of the draft Supreme Court decision, Texas Governor Abbott indicated that Texas may seek to overturn the 1982 Supreme Court decision that found that states were required to offer free public education to all students, including the children of undocumented immigrants. Does the White House have any response to those comments from Abbott?
Well, that's ultra MAGA right there. The president talked about yesterday. We're talking about, just to restate that, denying public education to kids, including immigrants to this country. I mean, that is not a mainstream point of view. What I will tell you, as the president has looked at and reviewed, since you referenced the draft opinion, and he's talked about this a little bit, but just to build this out a little bit more for you. He's talked about how it raised the alarms for him and how the draft decision would endanger other American rights, in addition to the basic right of every woman to keep her personal health care decisions between herself and her doctor. Obviously, there are decisions like that way out of the mainstream that Governor Abbott has announced. But it's also, if you look at Roe, Roe is the precedent, right? Is the precedent for the right to privacy, and that decision has been upheld numerous times since. And everybody doesn't make the connections between what Roe has been the basis of. So let me just spell it out for you, and this is what's on the mind of the president. The right to privacy has been the basis for other landmark decisions that safeguard our basic rights as Americans, including who we choose to marry, with whom to have romantic relationships, and whether to use contraception. For example, I mentioned Griswold versus Connecticut yesterday, Eisenstadt versus Baird, which ensured that the right to use contraception was protected, Oberfeld versus Hodges, which protects the right to marry, Lawrence versus Texas, which stopped government from preventing sexual relationships between consenting adults. The basis for the draft decision would cut against decades of precedent and throw millions of lives into turmoil. And when he talks about this, and when he talks about privacy, and when he goes back and talks about the fight against Bork, he's talking about this as a precedent for a lot of these decisions that have enormous impacts on people's lives. Go ahead.